Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, all. It's a beautiful 26 November 2024. Come to the Crusty podcast, episode 318. Taylor, Trudeau, Trump, and tariffs, and of course, extra taxes. My God, the games have begun, ladies and gentlemen. Listener viewer discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, make funny faces, make fun of our leaders as per usual, and this might be a little more aggressive this evening. Please stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you all. I know I've been leaving the past few days, working lots. This podcast is also brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans Freedom Network, Stand 2. And coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, Veterans Freedom TV. I don't know the information just yet, but please stand by on that. Anyway, hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. It's been a couple of days since my last video on the fly. Anyhow, like I said, I've been busy working lots too. If you'd like to hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, share this content all over social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. And please, if you feel like donating, please consider donating too. Links me in the description. So, big news. Taylor Swift was in Toronto for her Eras tour, and everyone's just go gaga over Taylor Swift. Well, firstly, I don't give a shit. Okay, probably because I'm 50 years old and I really don't care about soothing pop stars right at the moment too, because every piece of music that I see out there right now that's in the mainstream is garbage, is crap. There's no soul to it. There's no meaning to it. There's no real feeling to it. You got to hunt high and low to find decent rock bands anymore. You got to hunt high and low to find decent alternative. I mean, proper alternative bands, not just the trendy schwitz that we had back in the 90s. I'm talking about some real good alternative music, and you got to look for it high and far for it. Okay. Because mainstream media, when it comes to radio, when it comes to television, you're not seeing any good fucking groups anymore. You're just seeing manufactured big stage shows, no real substance. How many times do we have to hear Taylor Swift bitch about her ex-girlfriends? Really? How many times do you have to hear Taylor Swift bitch about her ex-boyfriends or girlfriends, or whatever she was into? I don't care. And that was the biggest thing on CTV, CBC about Taylor Swift and ticket scammers and all that too. And there's a video out there of Justin Trudeau dancing, having a good time with his teenage friends, which is kind of odd, don't you think? Kind of peculiar. That man's 52 years old. What the hell is he doing hanging around teenage girls collecting bracelets? Kind of odd, isn't it? And at the same time, Montreal is going through a riot because certain Palestinian supporters, Hamas supporters, were harassing the NATO office. Okay? So there's a perspective for you right there, ladies and gentlemen. And now Donald Trump has announced that once he's sworn in, he's going to implement 25% tariff on goods coming in the United States from Canada. Now, some would say that's unfair. That's too much. But look at the business model of this country, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what the business model is presented to us as a taxpayer, given to people of the world, based on this liberal example. Honestly, ask yourself this. What example has been given? Now, we've heard the Liberal government talk about frickin' business here and investing in Canadians and doing what's right and creating good quality jobs for all of us plebes out there. Okay? This Stellantis investment in Windsor, that big battery power plant, that cost Canadian taxpayers $5 billion. $5 billion. You didn't hear me. $5 billion. And what's that going to give this country in the long run?
Absolutely nothing.
Right? If the Canadian government has to give someone $5 billion to invest in this country, it's not an investment, it's a fucking bribe. Okay, now wait, I'm getting to this point close enough here. I'm getting to the point shortly here. Okay. Same thing with Honda. How many billions? Now, I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's out there someplace, ladies and gentlemen. How many billions did they give Honda for their manufacturing? Okay. What do the Canadian taxpayers get in return?
Absolutely nothing.
Right? That's the thing. So when the government talks about all these billions of investments and all this, we're investing in Canadians, they're full of shit. Okay. In my last video, you heard me ramble on about the whole, they're canceling the GST for 2 months between December 14th and February 14th. Okay. They're canceling the GST because they want to make sure Canadians have enough money for Christmas and kids' toys and all that good stuff. They think they're being charitable. I mean, when you think about it in the province here in Alberta, I live in Alberta. Okay. Now we pay 5% GST on everything. That's Canada-wide. Okay. Some other provinces have their sales tax and with the GST, which is usually called an HST, harmonized sales tax, right? It's something wonderful. It's harmonized. Like harps. It's harmony. You pay more here and you take more here. And we take more and you get fuck all. Okay. When I was living in Ontario, okay, when the Harper government brought down the GST to 5%, okay, we were still paying 5% federal tax. And I think at the time it was still 8% sales tax, provincial sales tax. So basically 12% on every fucking dollar you spent in Ontario was going to the government one way or the other. Same thing with tobacco, same thing with alcohol, same thing with gasoline. So it was a con right from the get-go. Now, the sheer arrogance of the federal Liberals saying they're doing us a favor. We're going to cut GST. We're going to stop GST. We're going to help you out. So to an Albertan, that's roughly maybe $5 in every 100 you spend. $5 in every 100. So you go out and you spend $200 worth of groceries, which really, ladies and gentlemen, the big picture isn't much. Because my wife and I, we drop more than that in a month. And I'm not as big eater. I know I got some weight on me, but I'm not a humongous eater. Okay. Neither is my wife. Try to have a decent diet of good proteins, some good fruits and vegetables, some milk, some juice the odd time. I barely drink anymore. My biggest downfall is the tobacco. That's the big thing right there. Tobacco, ladies and gentlemen. I am a cigarette smoker. Okay. And the odd time I might have the odd toke here and there too, when I'm off duty, when I'm not working. Okay. But it gets tough for a couple. Just imagine what it's going to be like for a family of 4 or a family of 5 or 6. You got 2 kids, you got 3 kids, you got 4 kids, in some cases, even 5 kids, and you got to feed them. So that $200 that's supposed to come back to you in rebate come fucking April isn't going to do much. And that's what they project, right? So here's something to give us a slap and tickle for other people's pickles. Okay. And now you've got Donald Trump, who's going to turn things around in the United States, which I think is a good thing too, because he thinks big business. He thinks big picture. He doesn't think what's immediate. He thinks big picture. And I wish we had some politicians with the same goddamn balls to do the same thing too. Excuse me. And now he wants to put 25% tariff on our goods because of the immigration problems we have had and because of the illegal drug issues that have been going on too. So what gets me is all these wokies and all these so-called progressives sitting there harping about what it's going to do to Canadian jobs. I ask you, Liberal Party, what have you done to secure Canadian work? What have you done to secure the economy? You've got Krista Freeland making little statements saying it's a vibe session. It's a vibe session. What are you going to fucking tarot cards to get your advice on what's going on? Vibe session? What kind of lame ass excuse is that? What kind of statement is that? Here's your vibe session. Canadians are getting pissed, and it's about time we hit the streets.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 318, Taylor, Trudeau, Trump, and Tariffs. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. If you'd like to hear it to see, please click like, subscribe, share this content all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Please give me a comment or two. If you end up seeing this thing live, please comment. Let me know where you're from so I get a good idea how many Canadians are watching my show at any given time. Just please don't be shy. Give me a comment, thumbs up, and just double check your subscription. Click the bell for notifications if you haven't already, and just double check, make sure you're still subscribed, just because the whole algorithm thing and shadow banning and censorship and all that good stuff. We can beat these censorious thugs if you keep subscribing and sharing this stuff all over the ground. So please share my content. I don't mind. Anyway, carrying on, I'm getting a little heated there too. Just some of the stupid things that our government officials are saying when they know what's going on. So in a way, I really don't blame Donald Trump for what he's doing. I don't agree with it. I don't, because it will hurt whatever Canadian businesses are left that are trading on a regular basis. But it should get the government some incentive to smarten the fuck up. Now, you've heard me ramble on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not against immigration in this country. I'm not against anyone coming to Canada, any democratic state, to get things done, to have a good life, to promote personal freedom, to promote some kind of liberty, to promote anything to better your lives. Okay? But there's people that keep crossing and crossing and crossing, taking advantage of benefits, taking advantage of things, and not doing anything in return. Okay? You're finding issues with certain coffee shops. You're finding issues with certain restaurants that can't hire, that won't hire, that will hire, that do, but promote mediocre service. You have agencies in this country that are lying to certain immigrants that are saying, here, come to Canada. We'll make sure you get an education. We'll do this for you, yada, yada, yada. And they get screwed. So they spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to come into the country, and they got no place to live, no place to go. So there's two sides to this coin, ladies and gentlemen. You got people riding in the streets that are promoting the whole Hamas and Hezbollah bullshit, right? And some of these individuals are landed immigrants too, from said countries, or have sympathetic ties with said countries. You know what I mean? Okay. So while Justin Trudeau was at the Taylor Swift concert, sharing bracelets like he's back in 1986 with teenage girls, the dirty old fucking pervert that he is, okay, Montreal is going through a crisis. Other major cities in this country are going through the crisis, and not just with the protesters that are promoting pro-terrorism because they love the good life here in Canada. I'm talking about people that are living in tents, people that are forced out of their homes because they can't afford to fucking keep them anymore because of your little policies there, Justin, right? I know, don't talk about the inflation around the world. Let's talk about the inflation that your party incurred since the pandemic. We'll just keep printing some more money and print and print and print and print and print and print and print, right? Not to mention the 800 plus now officials of of the CRA, sorry, get a little too passionate, too many cigarettes, of the CRA that have been caught double dipping. And there's more and more coming through the woodwork as we speak too, because the more they investigate it, the more they're finding their own employees that have double dipped during that time of need, right? Anyway, I got a video here from Lauren Gunter talking about the bureaucracy and how big government is and how it's not beneficial to anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you listen at your own leisure, submit it for your approval, and just decide from there. It just, things are getting too big. And when things get too big, you got to pop the bubble one way. You got to pop that zit before it gets just too nasty. You know what I mean? Sorry for the visual, but that's just the way it goes. So anyway, you decide. Pardon for my coughing there, ladies and gentlemen, but I think you get it. And it's about time that other Canadians got it too and start, using their cojones and speak out against this mediocre bullshit. I will leave the closed captions on. So if you have trouble hearing, ladies and gentlemen, you can just read along there too.
I think we can say with certainty about the federal Liberal government is it's been really, really good at making government bigger and more expensive, but it's been a total failure at making government better. In just the last week, we discovered that executive pay in the federal government has doubled. Indigenous spending has tripled under the Liberals. And spending on health care for asylum seekers or refugees has gone up nearly 6 times. They are really, really good at spending money, but they're not very good at producing results. Let's take a look at the executive pay as the first example. So when they came to power in 2015, there were a lot of executives. There's far too many bureaucrats at senior levels in the federal government. Even then, even after the Harper government had gotten through with the federal government, there were still way too many managers and executives. But under the Liberals, the number of executives has doubled. The payroll that goes towards federal executives has risen by 97% in the last 9 years. You wonder why nothing gets done in the federal government. The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimated that most departments and agencies now have 7 layers of management. 7. So if you have an idea, it has to go up the chain and up the chain, and it gets back sent down for more suggestions, and up the chain, and then it gets shuffled around. No wonder nothing ever happens. They're pinballing ideas and decisions around so much on these 7 layers of management, because the Liberals have been on an executive spending binge. That's one of the big reasons nothing gets done, is that they have doubled the amount of executives they have and doubled the payroll for executives. On the asylum seeker health care, it started out at $60 million for people who come to Canada in 2015 seeking refugee status. We spent about $60 million providing them with health care while we could determine whether they were legitimate refugees or not. This year, that cost will be closer to $500 million. And there's two reasons for that. First of all, the Liberals allowed in a lot more people to make asylum claims. Just hundreds of thousands of people who are now awaiting adjudication. They're waiting for a decision on whether or not they qualify as refugees. While they wait, the federal government pays their health care. Once they have been determined to be refugees, they move over to their provincial health care plans. But in the interim, the feds pay for them. And so the feds have increased the number dramatically under the Liberals. That's one of the reasons that the price tag has gone up so much. The other reason is that they get benefits that ordinary Canadians do not. Not only do they get hospital visits, they get free ambulance service, they get eyeglasses and dental care, they get counseling, they get long-term senior care if they need it, they get home care, which an awful lot of ordinary Canadians do not. And that's why that price has gone way up. And Indigenous spending, that's another example. When the Liberals came to power in 2015, the federal government was spending about $11 billion on Canada's 1.2 million Indigenous citizens. Now it is spending $32 billion, almost exactly triple. And what has happened to living standards on reserves? The quality of living on reserves, as measured by a very standard metric, has gone up from a score of 58 to a score of 62. It's moved up 4 percentage points with $32 billion in spending. The Liberal government just thinks if you throw money at something, that will make it better. That will fix it. There's your cure. And as we're seeing over and over and over again, all that does is make government bigger. It doesn't make it better. For Post Media, I'm Lorne Gunter.
Yeah, since when has bigger government helped us all, ladies and gentlemen? Honestly, since the Trudeau government has gotten in, government jobs have gone up, I think, another 40 to 45% too, according to Taxpayers Federation. I'll leave a link to their findings there too in the last podcast, ladies and gentlemen. But the buffoonery has to stop. Okay. So before some SJWs weigh in on this and clench their pearls and say, "How dare you, Crusty, talk about Donald Trump? He's such an evil person." Well, he's doing something right. Okay. Now, my libertarian side's coming out. I'm not saying Trump is totally right. I would say he's about 98.9% right when it comes to we have to start border issues because the powers that be have been slack and idle about it. They have been. They've been really slack and idle about the immigration process. Okay. The last speech that Justin Trudeau did when it came to immigration, he blamed Harper. That was the NATO summit that he did in Halifax this past week. Talking about defense spending and how he's going to stand for this, stand for that. And of course, he blames Harper again. So how can you trust that man? Harper hasn't been around for 9 effing fucking years. So how is it his fault? You've been in charge, Buckeye, right? Your whole time has been in charge. You've been calling the shots since October 2015. And what have you done? You put us in debt. You've compromised our security. Now you speculate that this whole thing is going to blow over because, like Mr. Gunter said, just keep throwing money at it. Oh, we project to have our military up to 2% GDP by 2032. That's too long. That's way too long. This is something that should have been started out back in 2015, 2016, 2017 to build up to it. Because if your projection's right, we would have a standing military right now based on your logic, but we don't because you got people putting tampons in men's washrooms. I don't know if that's still a thing, but I still hear rumblings from the guys that I know back on the base up here. Little memos and little pieces of paper they would see lying around and warnings and shit like that. Don't do this, don't do that, right? And now the Royal Canadian Navy wants to get rid of the regimental song, get rid of the Navy song, because it has so much to do with colonialism and projected slavery from back in the day. When I've actually read the lyrics to that song, it has nothing to do with slavery. It has something to do with honor. So we got bureaucrats that are in the Navy, Air Force, and Army that want to twist and shape things around in the name of softness and cuddly bears and teddy bears. Oh my god, oh my god. You know, all these wonderful things. Paradise, paradise. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're sitting on the cusp of World War III. So priorities are all sorts of fucked up, ladies and gentlemen, not just from the government civilian side, but from the government military side and security side too. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna say. Bring on the fucking tariffs. Hopefully that might give the government a kick in the ass, incentivize the government to cut the red tape and let Canadian businesses thrive. And while you let Canadian businesses thrive, people go to work. And when people go to work, they get money in their pocket. When they get money in their pocket, they get to spend it on things like gasoline, like groceries, and toys for the kids this Christmas. Without your meager little $5 on 100 fucking handouts, while you got your finger up the taint of the Canadian taxpayers. Sorry for that visual, ladies and gentlemen, but we're getting it again. And this little suggestion that Houston has offered for us, submitted for our approval, was called in right. Oh, blow me. What the fuck is going on? How is it gonna benefit us? It's always nice to get money back that we paid into government back in our pockets again. Well, that's always a good thing. But is it really? Right? So you don't want the tariffs to affect us. Well, it's going to. And it's not a matter of the big Americans, our big brothers, telling us what to do. It's like we got to smarten up. And if that means we have to sour the milk, so be it. For years, I have dealt with officers and I've dealt with civilians while I was in the military. They'd probably ask me some of the dumbest questions when it comes to service. Ask me some of the dumbest questions when I think about this war, what I think about that war, what I think about this, what I think about that. And they still have this idea rolling around in their brains saying, well, Canada's peacekeepers, we don't need this. We don't need to defend this. We don't need that. We got the Americans. And it's like, they're a great ally. But it's up to us now to smarten the fuck up and start looking after what we should look after. This territory, this country. I'm not just talking having a couple of stations in the Arctic, maybe a couple of ships going through the Northwest Passage, having a presence there, upgrading our bases, maybe building on to some other bases too to make them bigger, to house more personnel, right? Let's have a recruiting drive again, a proper recruiting commercial, not some lovey-dovey picnic in the park and look at my boots, I'm shining them. How about some lovey-dovey fucking some angst issues, lovey-dovey teamwork? How about getting into that? Some pure fucking naked aggression to show the Canadian public that we have a military and we're willing to stand in guard for me. Just some ideas, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And then we start demanding these politicians be accountable for all their actions. And it doesn't matter if they're conservative, it doesn't matter if they're liberal, NDP, they block or independent, or the buckle my shoe party. Okay? Enough is enough. The world's starting to change and Canada's got to catch up. I could verify there's a lot of citizens out there that would agree with me on this one. What do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comments too. Right? Like, honestly, they cannot call an election soon enough because you're seeing the incompetence every time you turn on television, every time you read a newspaper or read something online, if it hasn't been censored yet. And people are a hell of a lot smarter now than what they were 40 years ago or 35 or 30 years ago, especially because this wonderful thing, the digital age. So people are researching on their own because it's at your fingertips. I've got encyclopedias here from the late 80s, early 90s. It's still valid information. If I have a question about something or look at something, I can do it right here, or I can do it here too. So can you, ladies and gentlemen. You wonderful people out there, you can look it up for yourself. Okay. So when people make a big stink about Taylor Swift, who cares? She has her talent, great. But now she's a puppet. She's owned, right? She's owned. Regardless of how many millions she has or who the hell she's dating, I don't fucking care. Trudeau, he's owned. He's a puppet too, right? He loves being a puppet. He loves the whole globalist idea because he's the first person that said Canada's a post-national state. He doesn't care. He was born into a wealthy family that made their fortune from gas and oil. Go figure, right? Go figure. Something about think about, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 26th of November, 2024. I wish good things for you all out there too. It's the season, so do what you can to help during these trying times. Do not be shy. Give a neighbor a hand, give your friends a hand, give your loved one a hand if need be. Don't be shy. Just get out there and do your best and just hope for the best. But stand on guard for thee. Stand up and be proud of who you are. Forget about the race baiting bullshit. Forget about the sexist bullshit. Forget about the misogyny crap that keeps being rammed down our throats. Stand better and stand true for it. Stand up for this country and stand up for your family and friends and what you hold dear. Freedom begins with us, and we should fight for it. Like I say, do your best to help you out in these trying times. And I will try to get another episode up in the next couple of days. If not, look for me on Vids on the Fly. And hope for the best, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find the light in this manufactured darkness. Like I always say, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you some other time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Mama said I had a face for radio. Bye, folks.